The night sky above Colony 9 was dark and silent. The stars blinked like cold eyes watching from far away. A strong wind blew across the metal fences of the outer zone, carrying the smell of smoke and burning wires. Jared, the colony's chief security officer, walked alone through the restricted crash area. He held a plasma rifle tight in his hands, his boots crunching on broken metal and glass. A ship had fallen from orbit 2 hours ago. No one knew where it came from, no signal, no warning, and no survivors, or so they thought. Jared's scanner beeped softly. There was movement ahead, behind the wreckage of the ship. He raised his rifle and stepped forward. "Show yourself," he called out. No reply, but then, a soft sound, a weak breath, like someone gasping. He rushed forward, heart pounding. Behind a broken engine panel, he found her. A girl, maybe 16 or 17. She had long silver hair, pale skin with a soft purple glow under her eyes. Her clothes were torn, and a strange pendant hung around her neck. Alien, clearly alien. But there was something different about her. She opened her eyes slowly, bright green, but full of fear. Her lips moved, and she whispered a single word, "Kale." Jared froze. His throat went dry. Kale. That name, it echoed in his mind like a ghost from the past. He bent down and carefully picked her up. Her body was light but warm. She didn't resist, just closed her eyes again. Jared looked around, then tapped his "Come" device. "Jared here. I've found a survivor." A pause, then a reply. "Copy that, sir. Sending a med drone to your location." Minutes later, the drone arrived and took the girl to the medical bay. Jared followed closely, not saying a word. He kept thinking about the name she said, Kale. Inside the med bay, doctors worked quickly. They connected her to machines, scanned her body, checked for injuries. "Her biology is strange," one doctor said. "She's part alien, but..." "Wait, there's human DNA too." Jared's eyes narrowed. "Run a full DNA scan," he ordered. "Use level 1 clearance and send the results to me only." The doctor looked surprised but nodded. "Yes, sir." Jared sat alone in the corner of the med bay, watching the girl sleep. Her breathing was slow, her face peaceful. But his mind was storming. Kale. That was his daughter's name. She died 15 years ago. Or at least that's what he believed. She was only 5 when the attack happened. A lab explosion, no survivors, her body never found. Jared buried an empty box and a broken heart. Now a girl falls from the sky, whispers that name, and shares his DNA. It couldn't be real. It had to be a mistake. But deep inside, he already knew. A soft beep pulled him from his thoughts. The DNA results had arrived. He walked to the screen. Slowly, each step felt heavier than the last. The screen blinked once, then showed the result. DNA match, 99.9%. Paternal relation confirmed. Jared stared at the screen. His hands trembled, his knees felt weak. He leaned on the wall for support. "No," he whispered. "It can't be." But the machine never lied. He looked back at the girl lying in the medbed. She looked peaceful now, like a child sleeping after a long journey. She had his eyes, the same shape, the same color. He had never forgotten. He never could. Jared stepped closer and gently held her hand. "Kale," he said softly. "If it's really you, I'll find out what happened. I promise." But deep in the shadows of the colony, someone else was watching. A dark figure stood in front of a silent monitor. The DNA results blinked again on their screen. They smiled coldly. "So the lost child is found," they whispered. "The experiment lives." Outside, the wind howled again. The stars still watched from above, and the girl from the crash site slept, carrying a truth that could change everything. She was running. The ground beneath her feet was soft, like a memory not fully formed. Light poured through tall glass windows, warm and golden. Laughter echoed behind her, and someone called her name. "Kale." She turned, smiling. There he was, her father, Jared, younger, happier, with a small scar near his eye. He held his arms open, and she ran to him, They laughed. They spun in circles, everything was perfect. But then the light turned red. A loud alarm rang through the air. The glass shattered, and fire swallowed the sky. Kale screamed. Her father's hand slipped away. She fell into darkness. Kale woke. Up gasping, her heart raced, her skin cold with sweat. She looked around and saw the clean walls of the med bay. Machines beeped softly. The dream was fading, but the feeling stayed. Jared was standing by the window, staring into the distance. He hadn't slept all night. His mind was still stuck on the DNA report. He had read it 3 times, but each time, the results stayed the same. The alien girl in the medbed was his daughter, or at least a version of her. How is she? He asked the doctor, without turning. Stable, the doctor replied. Her cells are healing fast. Faster than normal, Jared nodded slowly. What about her memories? Still unclear, the doctor said. Her mind is protecting itself, maybe hiding something. Jared walked into the room. Kale turned her head and looked at him for a moment. Silence filled the space between them. Then she whispered, "You were in my dream." Jared's breath caught. What dream? He asked. She looked away, her eyes wet. There was fire and glass. You called my name. Jared sat beside her, his voice shaking. That was real, he said. You were taken from me. Kale blinked slowly. Who am I? She asked. Jared swallowed hard. You're my daughter. The words felt strange in the air, like a truth that didn't know where it belonged. Kale didn't react right away. Instead, she reached for her pendant and opened it. Inside was a small chip. She handed it to Jared. This was given to me by someone. Before the crash, Jared inserted the chip into a portable scanner. A video played, blurry at first, then clearer. A man in a white coat appeared on screen, his face tired, eyes full of regret. If you are seeing this, he said, then. Subject K9 has escaped. Her name is Kale. She was taken from Earth 15 years ago, during Project Hybrid Genesis. She is part of something bigger, a link between human and alien genetics. But she is more than that. She is a child, not a weapon. The video ended. Jared stared at the screen, his hands trembling again. Hybrid Genesis, he whispered. He had heard that name once. A top-secret program rumored to mix alien DNA with human subjects back then. It was dismissed as conspiracy. Now it was personal. Kale looked at him, confused and scared. You knew about this? Jared shook his head. No, but I'm going to find out everything. Later that night, Jared returned to his private quarters. He unlocked an old case from under his bed, a black box covered in dust. Inside were files, photos, and a single holodisk marked G Project. He had stolen it years ago, curious, suspicious, but too afraid to open it. Now he had no choice. He played the disc and a hidden history came to life. Experiments on children. Test subjects gone missing. Military funding hidden behind science grants. One file caught his eye. Subject K9. Status: relocated to Sector 12. Outcome: unknown. Jared felt sick. All this time, Kale had been alive, locked in labs, turned into a project. And now, someone was erasing the past to keep the truth buried. He looked at her photo again. A small girl with wild hair and big eyes. The same eyes that now looked at him from a grown face. His daughter was back, but the danger was not over. Outside the med bay, someone was watching again. A shadow in the hallway, silent and still. Their device buzzed softly. Target has recovered memory fragments, said a voice on the other end. Proceed with Phase 2. The figure turned and disappeared into the dark, and inside, Jared made a silent vow. No matter what Project Genesis was, he would destroy it, for Kale, and for the truth. The elevator moved down slowly, far below Colony 9. Deeper than most people knew existed. The walls shook with age, and dust fell from the lights above. Jared stood silently, his eyes on the flickering floor number. Kale stood beside him, her arms crossed, quiet but alert. This place is not on the colony map, she said. It's not supposed to be, Jared replied. He typed in a long code on the control panel. The screen beeped, and a hidden sub-level appeared. Sector 0, years ago, before Kale's disappearance. Jared had worked with the colony's security intel division. During one mission, he'd found a classified blueprint showing a hidden research lab buried beneath the surface. He never dared go there, until now the elevator stopped with a soft thud. The doors slid open slowly. Darkness greeted them, thick and heavy. Jared raised his torch. The beam cutting through the dust-filled air. What they saw didn't look like a lab. It looked like a tomb. Walls covered in wires and dried vines. Broken glass, old screens flickering weakly. In the center of the room stood a large chair with metal cuffs, a testing seat. Kale's breath caught as she looked at it. Her hands began to tremble. "I've been here before," she whispered. Jared turned sharply. "You remember?" "Flashes," she said. Screaming, lights, pain. She walked slowly to the center of the room. Something pulled her, like a memory hiding just behind her heartbeat. On the floor, half buried in dust, was a recording device. Jared picked it up and turned it on. A voice came through, robotic but human. Project Log Genesis File 7. Subject K9 shows rapid cell fusion. Mental resistance remains high. Memory suppression required. Prepare for neural flush. Kale stepped back, breathing faster. "That voice," she said. "It used to echo in my dreams." Suddenly, the walls lit up. A hidden system came online, triggered by Kale's presence. A hologram appeared, a map of multiple underground levels, and at the center, one glowing room marked Origin Pod Active. Jared stared at the map. "All this under the colony. They kept you here like a lab animal." Kale touched the glowing part of the map. "They built this place to change me," she said. "But they failed." Then the ground shook. Jared grabbed her arm. "Did you feel that?" Before she could answer, a mechanical voice echoed across the hall. "Unauthorized access detected. Lockdown initiated." Steel doors slammed behind them, sealing off the elevator shaft. Lights turned red, and security drones began to descend. From the ceiling, their eyes glowed blue, then turned red as they locked onto Kale. "Run!" Jared shouted. They ducked behind a row of old testing consoles. One drone fired a warning shot, sparks flying across the floor. Jared aimed his sidearm and shot one of them down. But more kept coming. Kale closed her eyes, breathing deeply. A strange glow pulsed under her skin. Her veins lit up for a moment, like blue lightning under her skin. The drones paused, glitching, confused. Then they dropped to the floor, powered off. Jared stared at her. "What did you just do?" Kale looked at her hands, still glowing. "I don't know," she said, "but it's growing stronger." They moved quickly to the next corridor, following the map's signal. It led to a thick metal door, marked LabCore, restricted access. Jared placed his hand on the scanner, red light, access denied. Kale stepped forward and placed her hand beside his. The scanner blinked, then turned green. Access granted, welcome back. Subject K9. The door opened with a hiss. Inside, rows of stasis pods lined the walls. Some were broken, some still full, holding frozen figures inside. Children, teens, all with slight alien features. Jared felt sick. "This is where they kept the others," Kale said, her voice hollow. "They called us bridges between human and alien." At the end of the room was a large screen still active. A message was waiting, blinking. Jared tapped it, and the screen played another log. "Final directive. Subject K9 has escaped. Terminate project. Erase all data. Destroy the evidence." The room began to shake again. A countdown appeared on the walls. Self-destruct in 5 minutes. Jared grabbed Kale's hand. "We need to get out of here now." But Kale stopped him. "There's something I need from here." She ran to a pod at the back. Inside was a young boy with markings like hers. Still asleep. "My brother," she said. Jared stared in shock. "You have a brother?" They took him too, Cale replied. I won't leave without him. Jared nodded. Then we save him. The lab shook harder as systems began shutting down. The countdown continued, and deep within the burning shadows, someone watched from another screen. She's alive, the voice whispered, and she remembers. Asterisk, a burning trail lit the sky above Colony 9. Not a meteor, not a ship, something fast. Silent and deadly. It disappeared into the clouds like a ghost with purpose, seconds. Later, the colony's radar systems glitched. The screen operators didn't notice, but someone else did. Far below. Jared and Cale ran through a narrow tunnel. Jared carried the unconscious boy in his arms. Cale led the way, her pendant glowing faintly. Behind them, the lab they escaped from had collapsed in fire, and with it, the last traces of Project Genesis. Or so they hoped. They reached the surface access door, hidden behind a mining lift. Jared placed the boy down carefully and slammed his hand on the scanner. It beeped once, then opened with a metallic groan. Cool air rushed in, filled with the scent of rain and engine fuel. But Cale paused. She felt something. A strange tightness in her chest, as if someone was watching her. We're not alone, she whispered. Before Jared could respond, the first shot rang out. It barely missed his head and slammed into the wall, sparking. Sniper, he growled. Pushing Cale down, red lasers began to light up the tunnel walls, moving fast. They were being hunted. From the shadows emerged black-armored soldiers. No flags, no voices, no emotion. They moved like machines but fought like trained killers. Their eyes glowed red behind their masks. One of them raised a scanner and spoke coldly. Target located. Subject K9. Engage at will. Cale stood quickly. Anger rising in her eyes. The glow returned beneath her skin. Brighter this time. The soldiers fired, but their shots twisted midair. The energy turned, bent, and vanished before hitting her. Cale looked surprised. So it's true, she muttered. I can stop them. Jared fired back, his shots knocking 2 soldiers down. Cale raised her hand, and the ground beneath the attackers cracked. A pulse of invisible energy pushed them away. Jared grabbed the boy again. Now, Cale, he shouted. Run! They burst through the surface hatch and into the main colony yard. Heavy rain poured down, soaking them instantly. But the streets were empty, too quiet. Jared turned on his comm device. This is Jared, emergency code 9A. I need evac now. Static, then a broken reply. Sir, you've been marked rogue. Orders. Do not assist, Jared cursed. They've turned the system against us. A sleek black ship appeared in the sky above them, its engines silent, its design nothing like colony craft. It hovered for a moment, then released a wave of drones. Cale looked up. I've seen that ship before, she said. In my dreams. Jared and Cale ducked into the old power plant nearby. The place was shut down years ago, but still full of hiding spots. They laid the boy down in a safe corner and tried to catch their breath. Cale's hands shook as she looked at the glowing veins under her skin. What am I becoming? She asked. Jared looked at her with both fear and love in his eyes. You're becoming what they were afraid of. Someone they couldn't control. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The ship above had activated a pulse. All power in the area began to shut down. Even the emergency lights went dark. Then came the footsteps. One pair, slow, deliberate, confident. A tall figure stepped into the plant, not armored like the others, no mask, no helmet. He had white hair, a cybernetic eye, and a cold, perfect smile. Cale, he said calmly. You've grown. Cale stepped back, her voice shaking. Who are you? The man tilted his head. Your creator, he replied. And the one who will fix your broken code. Jared stepped in front of her, gun raised. You're not taking her. The man didn't flinch. Jared, he said. Still the overprotective father. Cale's eyes widened. You knew my father? I chose him, the man replied. He was strong, disciplined, ideal genetics. But we never told him. Cale screamed. You used us. You stole my life. The man raised his hand, and a magnetic pulse threw Jared against the wall. He aimed another device at Kale, one designed to shut down her powers. But this time she didn't run. She stepped forward, power building around her like a storm. "I'm not your weapon," she said. "I'm not your project," with a scream. She unleashed a shockwave that shattered the man's device and knocked him to the ground. Jared stood slowly, blood on his forehead. "Remind me never to get on your bad side," he said. The man crawled back, smiling even in defeat. "You don't understand what you are, Kale. You're just the beginning." Outside, alarms rang through the colony. Kale looked up. "They won't stop," Jared nodded. "Then we don't run. We fight." The sky was quiet again. Ash drifted down like black snow, covering the colony's rooftops. Fires from the earlier battle had gone cold, but the air still carried the weight of something unfinished. Kale sat on the edge of the colony wall, her legs swinging over the side. Her skin still glowed faintly in the places the light had touched her. Beside her, Jared placed a warm jacket around her shoulders. She didn't speak, not yet. The boy, Kale's brother, was still unconscious, sleeping peacefully inside the bunker. Jared had wrapped him in a thermal blanket, monitored his breathing, and locked the doors. But his mind wasn't calm. Not after what the silver-haired man had said. Not after the words, "You're just the beginning." Kale finally broke the silence. "I saw something in his mind when I touched him." Jared looked at her sharply. "You can read thoughts?" "Not clearly," she replied. "Just flashes, images, sounds, fear." She looked at her hands, glowing blue lines tracing her veins. "I saw a place," she said, "not on this planet. A structure floating in space. Massive, ancient, and alive." Jared listened, his heart beating faster. "I think it's where I was made," Kale continued, "and I think they're still watching me from there." He stood and walked back inside the bunker. Moments later, he returned with an old star map. He placed it on the ground and activated the projector. A soft glow lit up the night sky above them with star systems and jump routes. "Can you show me where?" he asked. Kale touched the map gently, and one section blinked. A small uncharted zone near the edge of known space. Jared zoomed in. Nothing was there. No colonies, no trade routes, no signals, just empty black. "It's called the Veil," he said. "A dead zone. Ships that go there don't return." Kale stood. "I need to go. I need to see what's there." Jared didn't argue. He had already made up his mind. He would go with her, wherever this road led. Within hours, they loaded an old scout ship with supplies. Jared reactivated his military clearance to unlock the navigation systems. Kale carried the pendant, and the boy was secured in a cryopod, safe until they knew more. As they left the colony, no one stopped them. No one dared. The jump into deep space was smooth but cold. Stars stretched and twisted as the ship folded through dimensions. Kale sat in silence most of the trip. She could feel something waiting for her out there, calling her after 18 hours. They arrived. The ship dropped out of jump near a massive gravitational shadow. Nothing was on radar, but Kale pointed forward. "There," she whispered, and then it appeared. A structure larger than any ship, floating between two dying stars, shaped like a ring with shifting metal arms. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Jared stared in disbelief. "That's not human." The ship's systems flickered. Something was connecting, hacking, speaking without words. Kale stepped forward and pressed her hand against the control panel. The ship stopped shaking. The lights turned blue. "They know I'm here," she said. A docking arm extended from the ring, guiding their ship into a hidden bay. The doors closed behind them, and artificial gravity returned. Jared loaded his weapon and handed Kale a portable scanner. "No more surprises," he said. Kale smiled faintly. "With me, there's always surprises." The airlock opened. Inside was silence, but not the kind that felt empty. This silence was full, like the walls were listening. Strange markings lit the floor as they walked. They pulsed with each step Kale took, as if the place recognized her. At the center of the chamber was a platform. Above it floated a sphere made of pure light. Kale stepped onto the platform. The sphere responded, breaking into symbols and sound. It formed a face, a hologram of a being with no clear features. Just light, Subject K9. It spoke in a voice like wind and thunder. You have returned, Kale. Stood tall. I want answers, the voice replied. You were created to end the cycle, to become the seed of unity, but the humans were afraid. They betrayed the plan. Jared stepped forward. What plan? The voice turned toward him. To evolve, it said. To connect all life. It showed them images, Earth's wars, alien conflicts, failed peace. Then images of Kale. Born from two worlds, the first hybrid, but not the last. Kale's eyes filled with tears. You made me to fix your mistakes. The voice dimmed. No, it said. We made you to choose. The sphere pulsed one final time, then sent a signal deep into the stars. Now others will come, it said, to find the girl who bridges galaxies. The light faded, and the ring began to shake. Jared grabbed her hand. What did you do? Kale whispered. I told the galaxy I exist. Asterisk silence filled the ship. Not the normal silence of deep space, but something heavier, something that wrapped around the walls, pressing in like a giant, invisible hand. Kale stood in the viewing deck, watching the ancient ring drift behind them. Stars moved slowly past, distant and uncaring. She placed a hand on the glass. The glow under her skin was dim now, almost asleep. But something inside her was waking, not a power, a memory. Jared entered quietly. He didn't speak right away. Instead, he stood beside her and looked at the stars. The ring sent a signal, he said. Every system in this quadrant picked it up. And now ships are moving. Toward us? Kale asked. Toward the coordinates buried in the signal, Jared replied. He placed a small hollow projector on the panel. It showed a massive point in space, spinning slowly, shaped like an eye. The origin gate, they say it predates all known civilizations, Jared said. Dead technology. But now it's awake. Kale stepped back, her heartbeat rising. I've seen that place, she said. In my dreams, in flashes. Jared looked at her. The ring said. You have to choose. Do you know what that means? Kale didn't answer, not because she didn't know, but because she did. The next day, they reached the edge of the origin gate system. It was quiet at first, then dozens of ships appeared, all from different worlds, human warships, alien scouts, unknown designs from dark sectors. They had all heard the call, and they all wanted the same thing. Kale Jared's ship moved to the crowd unseen. Their transponder was off, shields low. But the closer they got to the gate, the more the tension grew. Every ship circled like vultures waiting for the moment to strike. Kale sat in the command seat, eyes closed. Her mind stretched outward. She could feel them all, their fear, their greed, their curiosity, and one more thing. A presence calling from inside the gate, soft, ancient, familiar. Suddenly, the ship shook. A warning light blinked red. Incoming fire, Jared said. A blast from a war cruiser lit up the side of their ship. Kale stood without fear. Take me to the gate, she said. Now Jared didn't argue. He pushed the engines to full. The ship raced forward as chaos exploded behind them. Ships began firing at each other, afraid someone else would reach the prize first. Kale's ship shot through the battle like a ghost. Missiles missed. Lasers bent around them. Kale was guiding it now, without touching anything. The origin gate opened slowly as they approached, not a mechanical movement, but like a flower blooming in space. It welcomed her. It had been waiting. Inside the gate was a massive chamber of light, floating platforms, spinning rings, and pure energy. Kale stepped out of the ship. The air here wasn't air, but she could breathe. Jared followed, weapon drawn. But he knew deep down this wasn't a place he could protect her from. She turned to him. "You don't have to come further," she said. "I do," he replied. "I'm not losing you again." They walked together to the center of the chamber. A pedestal rose from the floor, covered in glowing symbols. Kale placed her hand on it. Instantly, everything stopped. The floating rings paused, the energy dimmed, and a single voice echoed. Around them, "You are the convergence." Kale's body lifted into the air, surrounded by strands of light. She saw visions, all her lives, all her pieces, born human, changed by alien science, remade by ancient design. She wasn't just a hybrid, she was the blueprint for something new. The voice spoke again. "Choose. Open the path for a new future, or seal the gate forever." Outside, more ships reached the gate, but they could not enter. Only Kale could activate it. Only she could decide, Jared called out. "Kale, you don't have to carry this alone." But she didn't. Hear him now. She was between time, between stars, inside the heart of creation. Her mind touched every voice in the galaxy. Human, alien, machine, forgotten. So much pain. So much fear, but also hope. She had the power to merge them, to rewrite biology, to make a single path forward, or to erase the gate, and leave every species to grow on their own, separate, divided, natural. Kale opened her eyes. Tears floated around her face. She looked at Jared, then at the energy around her. "I choose." The gate pulsed once. A shockwave rippled across the galaxy. Ships turned silent, weapons powered down. And in the sky, the stars shifted. Jared reached out. "Kale," he whispered. But she was gone. Only the glow remained. Across the galaxy, something changed. But there were no explosions, no battles, no screaming, just stillness, a strange, gentle calm, as if the stars themselves paused to breathe. In a mining colony on Titan, machines stopped drilling for 6 seconds. On an alien world in the Zora Belt, glowing trees leaned slightly toward the sky. In deep space, old ships that had drifted for centuries turned quietly on their own. Every living being, every planet, every corner of the galaxy felt it, a soft echo in the soul, and then light, not blinding, not loud, but deep, like music you don't hear with your ears. The origin gate pulsed once, then vanished, leaving no trace, no debris, just silence. Jared stood alone in the chamber where Kale had disappeared. The glow had faded, the symbols were gone, and she was nowhere. He waited. Minutes turned to hours. He sat down, holding the pendant she had always worn, the one with his name carved inside. He held it tight, like a lifeline in the dark, but there was no answer, no voice, no presence. She was gone. Weeks passed. Jared returned to Colony 9. He didn't talk much. He cared for the boy, Kale's brother, and kept her story alive through him. The galaxy was quieter now. Ships traveled more freely. Factions who once fought began to speak. Something in them had changed, not by force, not by war, but by choice. Then one morning it happened. Jared was fixing the old communication tower outside the colony, the same tower that first picked up Kale's crash signal. The screen flickered. A message appeared. One word, "Home." He dropped the tools and ran. Inside the control room, the screen showed a location. Not far, just outside orbit. He launched the scout ship without alerting anyone. As he approached, he saw it. A small transport pod drifting calmly. He brought it inside the hangar, heart racing, hands shaking. The door opened slowly, and there she was. Kale, alive, changed. Her eyes glowed softly, not from power, but from peace. Her skin no longer flickered with energy. It was calm, warm, human. Jared stepped forward. She smiled and said one word, "Dad." He pulled her into a tight hug. His hands shook, but he didn't cry. Not yet. He just held her like he never would again. Later, they sat under the colony sky. She told him everything, how the gate didn't destroy her. It opened her mind completely. Past time, past species. She saw the history of life across galaxies. And then, It let her choose. She didn't merge the DNA. She didn't erase it either. She chose something else. She released it, set it free, into space, into time, into memory. Let each world evolve in its own way. But without fear, she took the weapon and turned it into a whisper of peace. And when the gate closed, it gave her one gift, a path back home. To him, Jared laughed for the first time in months, not because it was funny, but because the weight had finally lifted. "You're not a bridge anymore," he said. "You're a choice." Cale nodded, and I chose to come back. The galaxy moved on, but something remained. A story of a girl made from war who chose peace, of a father who never gave up, of a bond stronger than science, and a future. Not written by machines or rules, but by hope, and somewhere far away, in a part of space untouched by maps, a single star blinked softly, not as a warning, but as a promise.